How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. It's a slightly different type of video that I'm bringing you today. Basically, you might see me wearing different clothes, different hats, different all sorts of stuff in this video because what I'm going to be doing is my renewal on my insurance for my VW Polo 9N. So yes, it's a modified car. It's not hugely modified, but it's got a few modifications on it. I've been paying around about £560 for my insurance, and that's what I paid in the last year, and I want to get that down for the next year. I've just had my renewal quote in from my policy providers, and they've given me a higher quote for it, so 700 quid or something, which I think is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay £140 extra for the car when I could be paying a lot less on my insurance. So what I'm going to try and do is get my insurance down as cheap as possible, and hopefully you guys can be along for the ride. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and without further ado, let's get me some cheap insurance. Okay, so what you can see on screen now is my steps that I took first of all. So step one was to go check out my MOT history so I could work out how many miles per year I do on the Polo. I mean, I also have a second car, the MX-5 now, which is more recent, so that will decrease the number of miles I do per year actually on the Polo. Just something to take into consideration. Also, just clocked as well, I had an MOT failure back in like 2018, 2017, whenever it was. Yeah, not ideal. That was actually because I didn't have any washer fluid shooting out of the front. It actually just packed up and wasn't working. Very annoying and very embarrassing because everything else was working fine on the car, and that was the one thing that decided to get me a failure. Not ideal. But anyway, yes, next step was to go on to comparethemarket.com, put in all of my information that I would otherwise be putting in with my insurance provider, and understand what an actual cheap quote would be, so including those miles that I just worked out from the MOT. For a bit of background on me and the car, first of all, the car, obviously it's a VW Polo 9N, it's a 1.2 litre, it's from 2002, and it's got a couple of modifications on it like the wheels, the suspension, the seats, etc. And then in terms of myself, I'm a 24-year-old. I've got 6 years of no claims bonus. I also am a business consultant for a financial services firm, and I live on the edge of London, so not in a place that's particularly good or bad for insurance. When I was at university in Bath, my insurance was like 1,000,000 times cheaper, but right now I'm paying about an average sort of cost based on the country average. So after putting all that information in, I clicked through to the quotes, and as you can see, my cheapest quote was £420, which is almost half the price of what my current provider was offering me. So they were offering me £700 or £826 if I paid in installments, and this is £420 annually, and I'm looking to pay annually on this occasion. So yes, I mean, ultimately that's a bit ridiculous. There's almost like a £300–400 rift between the two. If you want help with putting in the right details, I literally just put in everything that was correct about me, and then I used the information from one of my previous videos on how to get cheap insurance to make sure that I got a half decent quote. I'm not going to go through and make a whole bunch of quotes now. 420 quid is a good starting point for me to now go to my provider and say to them, hi, I've been offered almost £300 cheaper than what you're offering me. Can we try to bring this down a bit? So I'm going to give them a call now and see what I can do and try and drop that quote right down from the £700 that they've offered me to something more in the 400 range. I can't really be bothered to go with all the faff of starting a new insurance quote with a whole different company and that kind of stuff. I kind of want to keep my insurers as they are because I've had them since I started driving the car. So ideally I would like to stay loyal to them, and they've been good to me so far. I mean, I haven't had to use them particularly, but I'm sure they would be good to me in the right situation. So yes, I'm going to give them a call and see if I can do something about it. So I decided to record the call, but I completely forgot to actually ask the guy on the other end whether or not I was allowed to record the call from his perspective. So for the sake of GDPR and data protection, I haven't included his voice in this section. You can hear me talking about stuff. Unfortunately, he didn't interrupt me at any point, so it makes a little bit more sense. I mean, he interrupts me every so often, but I haven't included it in the video. After waiting on hold for like 10 minutes, he finally answered, and I got right down to business. I have a renewal quote that has come in and all that kind of stuff, but I found much cheaper quotes elsewhere, so I was just wondering whether it would be worth ending my policy in this term, or whether it's worth kind of discussing it with you and seeing if we can come to some kind of agreement, because I know that I've been with you guys for like 6 years or something now, so it'd be cool to stay with you, but my quote's like £300 above where I'm getting offered in the market, so I just wanted to double check that I could get it lower, basically. He said that would be absolutely fine, and then we went on to discuss the fact that I would need to change my details. There's a few changes that I need to make to it regardless, because I've got a change in circumstances, etc. We went through a bunch of those details, but obviously those are personal to me, so I won't include that in the video. Yeah, so social, domestic and pleasure, but also with commuting added on, so I can get to and from the station and be covered. At this point, it is time for me to start putting the trigger on telling him how much I've got as my cheapest quote so far. I'm also going to mention the fact that I'm happy to pay up front right now, which just makes life easier for everyone involved. Otherwise, he has to go through all of the information about financing this deal, and that's just long. I can pay, depending on the quote, I can pay annually. So the cheapest quote that I have so far with those exact details is £419 from Admiral. So I was just wondering if I could get anywhere close to that, because if it was that amount, I would just pay up front. So then, taking all the information that I provided him, he went away and tried to get a quote. He now had a target to aim for, which was that £420, and he was hopefully going to come back with something similar to that. Now, I probably could have said something cheaper than that, and you could probably do the same as well, but I'm a Christian, so I would find it weird having to lie to this guy over the phone. I'd much prefer to just be a bit honest about it, tell him what my actual cheap quote is, and it would just make me feel a bit better about myself. 440, say it again, sorry? At this point, I'm thinking, yes boys, we've got a winner. 31. Yeah, that's actually fine. I mean, like, it's a bit over what Admiral are offering, but I think considering I've been with you guys for 6 years, and so far, I mean, I haven't made any claims, so I don't actually know how good you are, but I can assume that you're good enough. Just having a chat with him there, getting a bit more friendly. I mean, also as part of this, I won't show you it, but when I gave him my card details, all that kind of stuff to make the payment, it was quite funny because we had a chat about him working from home and the fact that pretty much all call centers are working from home. I assumed that would be the case, but I didn't really know. I didn't realize that call centers would all just be working from home. It feels like I can just do that in the future. Why not just have call centers at home from now on? Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to go with that. £445.31, you say? That's still, I think, like the fifth best quote that I can find. So, and since I'm with you already, I'm happy to go for that. Do I pay now, or when do I pay the money? So that's it, £445.31. Not bad at all, especially considering the motor legal coverage as well that I got for free as part of it. With the other coverages, I would have had to have paid for that up front as well, which would have taken it up to pretty much the same price as what I was paying anyway, so very happy with that. All that was left was to say thanks and to sign off the call. Will do. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Cheers. Bye-bye. Well, that wasn't too bad, was it? I just literally said like half an hour ago, you might see me in different clothes, different hats, different yada yada yada. And here I am half an hour later with a much cheaper insurance quote than what I was offered, and I paid for it and it's all gone through. So massive thanks to my insurance providers. I go through Ensley, by the way, for those of you that are interested or want to use them as well. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. They're just the ones that I use for that insurance. So ultimately, my renewal offer was £700, 800 or something if I wanted to pay monthly or whatever. And I got that down to £445. Now, I could have gotten it cheaper because Admiral offered me £420, so I could have saved £25, but in order to get the motor legal protection on top of that, I would have had to spend an extra 30 quid with them, which I didn't have to pay with Ensley. They gave it to me for free as part of the offer, which means ultimately all in, I've actually done pretty well there. That's probably about as cheap as I'd be able to get. And that includes mods declared, and that includes everything. So basically, I've had a win there. If you take the price £700 and £445, I have saved £255, which, yeah, definitely a W. What it goes to show you is please do not take your renewal quotes unless they are really, really good. My renewal quote was absolutely awful. How can there be £255 difference between the renewal cost and a cost of just giving them a call and telling them my new situation, everything else about the car, the fact that I found cheaper quotes online, etc. It's in their interest to keep you as a customer, and they know they want to make as much profit out of you as possible. Hence, they decide to give you that nice high quote, and they expect you to not give them a call and do this kind of stuff. So just literally give them a call, talk to them, speak to a person, tell them your situation, and I promise you that if you do it right, you can get a nice cheap quote. So I hope you enjoyed this slightly different type of video. It was very short. Depending on how long it is when I edit it, this might come out as a random midweek video, an extra video for the week or something like that. I don't know. But hopefully it was helpful for some of you. Go watch my video on how to get cheap insurance. I'll put it in the iCard on this side of the screen. But as always, massive thanks to the patrons. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Listen.